We've all heard the same lame, tired, hyperbolic, misinformed, just plain delusional accusations thrown at the NRA during the last few months and beyond. The NRA is a bunch of child murderers.
If you can't get elected without taking money from child murderers, why are you running?
Which are what will stop the NRA from doing what they're doing and basically killing kids.
The NRA, they have the blood of countless children upon their hands.
The NRA bribes politicians with blood money.
Stop accepting blood money. Why are we accepting money from the NRA?
Was the blood of my classmates and my teachers worth your blood money?
They could have blood from children spattered all over their faces and they wouldn't take action, because they'll still see those dollar signs.
And of course, the brainless mantra of the year, the NRA is a terrorist organization.
We have to have the courage to call the NRA exactly what it has become, a domestic terrorist organization.
They act, quite frankly, in some cases as a terrorist organization.
The NRA is a terrorist organization.
It's a little strong to say it's a terrorist organization, but in reality it is.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz this week was a bit more measured, saying the NRA is just shy of a terrorist organization. But it's this inability to craft a reasoned, accurate argument that keeps these people forever just shy of winning anything. Discussions, debates, or elections. Still, these non-arguments seem sophisticated compared to a new campaign ad from Albuquerque City Councilman turned Democratic congressional candidate Pat Davis, who took on the NRA with some real adolescent gusto.
Fuck the NRA. Their pro-gun policies have resulted in dead children, dead mothers, and dead fathers. I'm Pat Davis, and I approve this message, because if Congress won't change our gun laws, we're changing Congress.
Well, that's one way to lock down the David Hogg vote. I have my doubts about how that ad will be received by everybody else, but it did succeed in getting me to look at a guy I've never heard of before. So much so that Pat Davis actually got an invitation to appear on Tucker Carlson's show. And that's exactly the defense that Pat Davis used. Hey, I got you talking, didn't I?
Clearly, this got the NRA's attention, and it has started a new conversation, both amongst candidates running for office about how we organize and take back Congress and put new leaders there to take on gun control, but also how we stand up to the NRA.
Well, sure, you did start a conversation, but not all conversations have equal intelligence or value. I would have been more responsive to an ad that said, hey, you. Yeah, you, bitch. Vote for me. You pussy-ass faggot.
You won't. No balls.
You'd probably call that ad dumb and worthless, and you'd probably be unsatisfied if I said, hey, don't blame me. I'm just starting a conversation. This Tucker segment also featured another Pat Davis ad I hadn't previously seen before. It's one that is now generating its own controversy after this segment aired. It's an ad in which Pat Davis claims that an AR-15 can shoot 150 rounds in 15 seconds.
By the time this ad is done, an AR-15 could have fired 150 bullets. That's why we need to ban assault weapons. I'm Pat Davis, running for Congress, and I approve this message because lives are more important than gun company profits.
And that's quite the claim. An off-the-rack AR-15 is the same as any other semi-automatic firearm. One trigger pull fires one round. Unless you have the world's most nimble finger and a 150-round magazine, you're not firing 10 rounds per second. The two have a contentious back and forth about that claim.
No AR-15 can fire 150 rounds in 15 seconds. That's untrue, and if you believe it is true, then you're not qualified to have a conversation about guns. People are laughing at you because you are ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about.
Politeness is not working so far. If you woke up on Mother's Day and don't have your kid anymore,
you know what works?
You want
Actually,
somebody in
facts
Congress
work.
to
Why
step
don't you
up.
get some facts? F the NRA, Pat.
It'd be great to have
tough guy.
It'd be great
Learn
to have
something
a
about
conversation
guns and
when
get
the
back to me.
NRA's
Interview over. Yeah, because you don't know what you're talking about.
After that interview, Pat Davis did what any good politician would do: scramble for whatever weak evidence he can find to double down on his ridiculous claim. Davis made a post on his campaign website entitled Fact Check Fox News. Video shows AR-15 firing 150 rounds in under 15 seconds. Scroll down and you'll see this YouTube video embedded claiming to show the feat in action. If that video looks and sounds like it was recorded on a potato, it probably was. It was posted to YouTube way back in 2011. Why would Davis have to go all the way back to 2011 to prove his point? Well, because shooting 150 rounds in 15 seconds from an AR-15 is incredibly rare, not incredibly common. And based on the available evidence, I strongly dispute Davis's claim that what we're looking at here is a legally available add-on you can just get off the internet or in a parking lot.
Right here in New Mexico, you can go to a parking lot or go on the internet, buy an assault weapon, an AR-15, and buy a legally available add-on that, like a bump stock, that allows you to replicate exactly what happened in Las Vegas.
In his website post, Davis links to articles in support of his claim that what we're witnessing here is a bump stock in action. Slate says a bump stock, a simple legal add-on, lets an AR-15 shoot 900 rounds per minute. CBS News writes Stephen Paddock's bump stocks enabled him to shoot 600 rounds per minute in the Las Vegas shooting, though it should be noted that according to the official weapons list, Paddock had 14 bump stock equipped rifles in the hotel room, some with 100-round magazines. It's a lot easier to unleash that kind of firepower with multiple preloaded weapons at your disposal. Still, I don't buy that the shooter depicted in Davis's linked video is using a bump stock, and I don't think Davis knows that he is either, and I'll tell you why. First, the rest of this guy's YouTube channel is full of automatic weaponry, weapons that shoot a stream of bullets if you hold down the trigger. Those weapons are heavily regulated and available only to non-criminal applicants who have paid a $200 tax, filled out an extensive application including fingerprints, a photograph, information about the specific firearm they're acquiring. Note that it's got to be a weapon manufactured before 1986 because sale of machine guns manufactured after 1986 to civilians is banned by federal law. And then after a 9 to 12 month extensive background checking clearance process, if you're a rich guy who has filled all of these requirements, then you can legally own your machine gun. Provided, of course, you can afford the $20,000 on average it costs to buy one due to all the heavy regulation. To the extent this channel owner clearly has automatic weapons regulated heavily under those strict laws, presumably he's done that. Either that or he went to jail and that's why he hasn't posted since 2012. To the extent this channel owner, or at least somebody he knows, is in legal and financial position to own automatic weaponry, presumably he's also in position to modify an AR-15 to be an automatic weapon as well. And he could do that with a mechanical modification known as a drop-in auto-sear, which can convert a standard semi-automatic AR-15 to a legitimate automatic weapon, a full description of which you can watch in this video linked below. That item is heavily regulated like any other machine gun and will also cost you about $20,000 to buy. So why do I believe that's what's depicted in this YouTube video, beyond the fact that the channel features plenty of automatic weaponry? Listen to how perfectly consistent the fire rate is on this weapon. Each shot is firing at a perfectly uniform interval. You don't get that effect with a bump stock. Remember that a bump stock is a manipulation of a semi-automatic firing system. By maintaining constant forward pressure on the weapon and harnessing the weapon's recoil energy, the shooter bounces the trigger off of his finger at a rate faster than his finger could otherwise pull the trigger. As a result, the rate of fire will vary slightly depending on the pressure applied by the shooter, and you can hear that inconsistency in the actual gunfire heard at the Las Vegas shooting itself.
Get down. Get down.
Can you hear that inconsistency? How the firing rate is sometimes a little bit faster, sometimes a little bit slower? That's what makes me skeptical that the shooter depicted in Davis's video is actually using a bump stock. He would have to be inhuman to get that type of perfect firing rate using a bump stock. Ultimately, unless we can talk to that channel owner, the guy actually shooting the gun in the video, we don't know what he was using. I did send him a message to try to find out, but as I mentioned, he's not currently active on YouTube, and I haven't received anything back. I don't know with certainty what he's using, and neither does Pat Davis, but it's either an automatic weapon that's heavily regulated by the laws we mentioned previously, and therefore not easily available as Pat Davis describes, or it's a bump stock being operated by an inhuman shooter. But even if it is a bump stock, Pat Davis isn't being forthright, implying there's no regulation or that the NRA is at fault for their availability. Trump has been in the process of banning bump stocks through executive action for months, something he's been very clear about.
I'm going to write the bump stock, essentially write it out. So you won't have to worry about bump stock. Shortly, that'll be gone.
And that's a move that the NRA supported, saying in a statement that the NRA believes that devices designed to allow semi-automatic rifles to function like fully automatic rifles should be subject to additional regulations. So which is it, Pat? Are you lying about the capabilities of the AR-15, linking to a video of a rifle that's been modified to be a legitimately automatic weapon, therefore subject to additional regulation? Or are you lying about nobody doing anything to regulate bump stocks? And actually, it could be both. The only impossibility here is that you're telling the full truth. This isn't a choice for me to make. This is for Democrats in New Mexico to decide on June 5th. But any candidate who's more interested in flailing to preserve his own narrative and his own outrageous claims than he is in honestly searching for and spreading the truth is a candidate I wouldn't want advancing toward office. Even if I agreed with his policy prescriptions, I'd be skeptical of any candidate who distorts reality this harshly to make his case. We'll have to wait and see what New Mexico voters decide. Maybe they'll just say, fuck Pat Davis. Sorry, maybe they'll start a whole new conversation with Pat Davis. We'll find out. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.